All right, guys, let's break down the Carolina Hurricanes versus New Jersey Devils series. The Carolina Hurricanes win the series in 5 games, so 4-1. And wow, what a trouncing that series was. Carolina really showing their maturity and their experience in this series. It was really, really one-sided, besides probably the 2 games. Um, that being game 3 where New Jersey won 8-4, and game 5 um, where Carolina got the job done in OT. But outside of that, games 1 and 2, 5-1, 6-1 blowout, game 4, 6-1 blowout. The Devils just didn't show up. Which is really disappointing considering how well they came back in the first round series against the Rangers. Um, I was just expecting a little bit more out of the Devils, and considering the Carolina Hurricanes injury front in their forwards with Teravainen and Svechnikov out, to concede the goals they did. Um, it's a credit to Carolina. Just shows you how deep they do bat. To be able to sort of cover the losses of Teravainen and Svechnikov so well, and to still be able to score, 5 or 6 goals a game like they did against a very potent New Jersey offense, and at times a really structured defensive side. It was just credit to them, kept them, besides that one massive blowout of 8 goals, kept them to 1 goals in 3 and 2 goals in that final game. To shut down an offense, such an offensively powerful side like the Devils, is just credit to this Carolina structure. And their team defense. Like they're so well built, and it was evident in this series. They just blocked the slot so well that any shot that the Devils tried to get through was immediately straight into a body. They were just far more physical. Their board battles against the wall were fantastic. And they just put the pressure on the Devils. They didn't give them time, space, anything to really move on. Um, and they just shut them down every time. And then they caught them on the counter so often, with their speed. So yeah, Carolina just all round dominated this series. It was disappointing in the sense that the Devils went out so easily the way they did, but it was an entertaining series from the standpoint of Carolina just looked so good. Um, just so good in so many things. Their experience came out to play. And yeah, I just loved what I saw from Carolina. I could see them going all the way. Um, but I'll leave Jaden to take you through some stats and his thoughts.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, a little bit of a lopsided series this one. Obviously, New Jersey Devils didn't really get a break after the going to Game 7 with the Rangers, and obviously Carolina finishing theirs quite earlier. So I did predict that the first 3 games, I thought the first 2 games were pretty much going to be lopsided Carolina because New Jersey needed the pickup, and obviously Carolina had the rest. And I thought New Jersey would win the third game. So it all played out pretty much how I thought it would the first 3 games. But yeah, from that third game, they just didn't show up in the fourth. Just same like the second and the first, and that's just where it ended. I thought they'd equalize it there. That was my prediction, and then it would just be I win, you win till the end, going to 7. But that's not how it planned out. Honestly, Carolina's got the 2 best defenders. I feel like in the playoffs at the moment with Burns and Slavin. They're just amazing. There's not much to say about that. Burns is like the perfect offensive defenseman that actually plays defense. They've got an amazing player right now in Martinuk, playing amazing hockey. I said in the previous video that he's just skating hard at the puck. And he skates with meaning, and it's not like all the first and second line players aren't doing that. And you can see in the third and fourth liners they are doing that, and that's why he's got 7 assists, 10 points. Is because he's pushing hard. It's why McLeod was New Jersey Devils' best player of the playoffs, and he's not on the score sheet. You won't see him there, but trust me, he was their best player, and he's a fourth liner. And Lindy Ruff did a lot of good things in this series, but the one thing I'll hold against him is that he did not put McLeod on the first line, because that man did everything uh, besides become God to deserve that. So that's the only thing I think New Jersey Devils could have done better, is give McLeod that first line, because he definitely deserved it. Yeah, in regards to holding New Jersey to one goal, I think a lot of it is New Jersey's fault as well. Like, Carolina are amazing at winning board battles, but what I noticed is that what Carolina do and what New Jersey don't is that Carolina will take one timer um, from the point because they play low, they fling it high. The guy at point's got all this space because New Jersey like to collapse, and then they would just slap it. And Carolina just like to slap it, and New Jersey just didn't do that. As soon as it went to the point man would just sit with the puck, and there was just no movement from that point. So that's honestly what I saw offensively, why New Jersey couldn't score and why Carolina were, and that's why Carolina were blocking the slot, is because New Jersey weren't slapping the puck; they were just sitting on the puck, um, like you said. So I think it was a little bit of Carolina good D, and also New Jersey not playing good offense in a sense, and getting the D men to slap the shot down and get some scrummy goals.
Yeah, they just didn't adapt enough, did they? They didn't adapt to Carolina's game style. After game three, I thought, wow, they've finally worked them out. They've woken up. They've realized that they've got to play. And, apart from conceding three shorthanded goals that game, they were pretty incredible. Um, but then to just jump straight back to a 6-1 loss, yeah, it was kind of disappointing from a Devils perspective. I think, the first two blowouts you could be like, okay, cool. But after you bounce back in game three like you did, even if they lost game four and ultimately still lost in 5 games, I would have been less disappointed if that game four was, a 3-2 loss or something like that. Um, it was just the fact that they got blown out yet again after finally showing something in the series. Just showed me that it really was a series of men versus men against boys, basically. But Carolina were here a few years back when they were a bit younger and just getting back into the playoff scheme of things, and um, it's how you learn. So I think you're definitely seeing, um, yeah, that experience of Carolina, because I think these two teams have a lot of similarities in a sense, both relatively fast teams. Um, and I think, yeah, Carolina were probably where New Jersey are now 4 or 5 years ago when they were first coming back into the playoff scene. And I think this series really served the Devils well in the long run. Just getting to see what it takes to make it
Mm,
further in the playoffs.
no, that's a great point.
And yeah, and what better team to learn off of than a team that was pretty much where the Devils were. So yeah, I think a lot of lessons learned from the Devils from this series, and a lot of things learned about Carolina. The fact that even with two of their best defensive players out and all the questions on their offense, they can still light it up like no one's business, whilst also maintaining one of the best defenses in the NHL. So they're going to be really tough to beat in these playoffs, and I could see the Stanley Cup returning to Carolina
No,
at this point.
I could see it too. I think Frederick Anderson played exceptionally well when he had to when stepping in. Obviously, New Jersey, they got to work out their goaltending. Obviously, it looks a little bit bright having a goaltender like Kira Schmid step up in the way he did, and it looks like he could be the number one, number two, or equal number one going into next year. And it looks like Blackwood might not have a job, so it looks good on that front. Obviously, some players didn't show up. Jesper Bratt was basically a no-show, and he was one of their leading point scorers during the regular season. Timo Meyer didn't do too much either. And so, missing an open net in game five that pretty much cost New Jersey the game. So, little things like that. I would like this. What you did bring up that Carolina play a little bit harder. They got that experience over the years going in the playoffs, and I just wanted to bring up that like people say playoffs is a different game, um, and it is true. Like everyone skates harder to the puck, everyone plays harder along the boards, but I think it's a different game because I think the rules change in a sense that hits and illegal things that happen get let go way more in the playoffs than they do during the regular season. And I think teams that coming into the playoffs for the first time, not knowing that really, experiencing that and getting all those cheap shots and those hits and then going, where's the call? I think that's the learning curve is going, well, okay, they're not going to call that stuff. So you're going to be prepared for it in future years. And I think that's the edge that Carolina had is they knew that going in. Whereas you can see Hishu got, massive hits. Hughes got hits during the Rangers games. Jesper Bratt as well. So I think that's a big learning curve for all those players there.
Yeah, for sure. Um, it's not great. We don't condone changing rules come playoffs. I know everyone wants the playoffs to be tougher, but yeah, it's definitely a learning curve that they'll need to work out because yeah, you're right. They put the whistle away. It's been mentioned by a lot of fans, commentators, all the rest of that sort of stuff that the rules do seem to change come
Mm,
playoff time. So, but it's what happens, and you have to overcome and adapt because if you don't, you're going to find yourself eliminated,
yeah.
and that's
Well,
what the
NHL is going to
Devils did.
clean that up, but obviously unless they want to lose the fan bases they have, because eventually people will get sick of it. But yeah, you really do.
Mm,
It is that. That's why I think that teams, coming from a rebuild, it takes them like 5+ years to get that cup. On average, I believe, or something like that, is because of that rule change, essentially, of just not blowing the whistle when there's illegal things happening. So, and then the punishments aren't as severe as they should be during the regular season. Um, getting one game for completely trying to kill someone, you know, it means nothing in
yeah,
it's in a sport that has a best of seven. It's not a one game, one elimination. It's a best of seven. So yeah, that was just my thoughts on that.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much all from me.
Yeah, no, that's all for me. Yeah, good luck to Carolina. They come up against Florida, so that will be an interesting one. See if Florida can take him past Game Five and go forward. But until then, leave a like on the video, comment below on what you thought of this series. It was pretty much a wash, so there's not too much to think on it. But yeah, leave a comment below on what you thought and how do you think Carolina will make it to the Stanley Cup. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. Until then, thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.